I was presented with a math question a few years back. It went something like this. You are in a car traveling down the highway. In front of you is a car that is traveling at 60 kilometers per hour. Your distance between you and the car in front is 100 feet. If you close the gap by half every minute, how many minutes would it take for you to pass the car in front of you? I crunched some numbers and thought I had cleverly solved the problem. I said I would pass the car in front after 15 minutes. I am still not sure how I came to such a conclusion, but I was wrong. My teacher smiled at me, knowing that it had not clicked yet. The realization that it would be impossible for me to pass the car in front, given the structure of the question. The question itself is limiting because you can only close in on the car by half each time. The question then becomes, how many halves are there between you and the car in front? If you think about it, at what point can you no longer have any distance? Would you say that after a micrometer's width, you should consider yourself at the crossing line? Well, the space between you and the car in front, if you are only a micrometer away, contains an unimaginable number of Planck lengths. That is the smallest unit of length science can currently measure. Think about that. In a single micrometer, there are more Planck lengths than there are atoms in a glass of water. The scale of division is mind-boggling. Planck length is so tiny that our minds cannot visualize it. Yet according to this paradox, even that could be divided again and again without ever fully reaching zero. Which means, at least in theory, the car you are in would never actually pass the car in front. This is a paradox. Zeno's paradox. Now, let's pause and think about why this is such a big deal. On the surface, it feels like a playful math riddle. But Zeno wasn't simply playing with numbers. He was pointing to something much deeper, the very fabric of reality, space, and time itself. When you walk across a room, you believe you are moving from one point to another. Zeno would stop you and say, wait. Before you cross the room, you must first travel half the distance. And before you reach that halfway point, you must first travel half of that. And before that, half again. Suddenly, your simple step across the room becomes an infinite journey. This forces us to ask, how can motion be possible at all if every step requires infinitely many smaller steps? Philosophers, mathematicians, and physicists have wrestled with this paradox for centuries. Some argue that the solution lies in the concept of limits in calculus. The infinite series of halves can actually sum to a finite whole. In other words, even though you are having the distance infinitely, the total distance converges to something measurable, something complete. But Zeno wasn't so much interested in solving the math, wanted to challenge our assumptions about reality. If we truly believe in infinite divisibility, then how does anything ever move? How does time itself progress? Are we tricked by perception into believing in continuous motion, when in fact everything is built from indivisible steps, moments, or frames? Think of a movie reel. What looks like continuous movement on screen is actually a sequence of still images played rapidly. Each image is separate, frozen, unmoving. Yet when strung together, they create the illusion of flow. Could our reality be similar? Could time be nothing more than a series of frozen frames, flickering so fast that we mistake them for motion? If that is true, then Zeno's paradox might not be a puzzle to be solved, but rather a window into the mystery of existence itself. Imagine looking at your hand. You see it resting there, solid and whole. But physics tells us it is mostly empty space, atoms vibrating in a delicate dance. Each atom is made of even smaller particles, and those particles are not solid marbles, but ripples of probability. At the deepest level, reality begins to look less like substance and more like information, patterns, and vibrations. So when Zeno asked how motion is possible, perhaps he was pointing toward this deeper strangeness. Perhaps he was whispering to us that the universe is not what it seems. Now, let's bring it back to that car on the highway. If we take the paradox literally, you would never overtake the car ahead of you. Yet, in real life, we do pass cars. We do walk across rooms. We do complete journeys. So what is happening? This is where mathematics and philosophy diverge. Math tells us that the infinite series converges to a finite value. Philosophy, however, keeps the door open, suggesting that our experience of reality may not align perfectly with logical structure. The paradox forces us to see the gap between reason and perception. But there's another layer, a more spiritual one. Think about infinity itself. We often treat infinity as if it's something far away, unreachable, abstract. But Zeno's paradox shows us that infinity is hiding right here, in every step we take, in every distance we cross. The infinite lives inside the finite. Each ordinary act of motion contains infinite subdivisions. It's staggering to consider. It makes you wonder, is the infinite not out there, but woven into the very fabric of each moment? This connects beautifully with the way mystics describe the universe. They say the divine is not somewhere distant, but present in every breath, every particle, every heartbeat. Zeno's paradox can be seen as a mathematical metaphor for this truth. Infinity is not far away. Infinity is here, now in the smallest fractions of distance and time. Then we come to the ultimate question. If reality can be divided infinitely, where does it all end, or does it never end? Are we like the traveler in Zeno's puzzle, forever closing the gap, but never arriving? In some ways, life itself feels like this paradox. We chase goals, dreams, and destinations, get closer, step by step. Yet somehow the finish line always seems just ahead, never fully reached. The moment we grasp what we thought we wanted, a new horizon appears. Maybe Zeno wasn't only talking about motion. Maybe he was also reflecting on the human condition, our endless striving, our perpetual halving of distances toward fulfillment. And yet, despite this, we still move. We still strive. We still pass the car in front of us. Perhaps the paradox is not meant to stop us, but to remind us. Reality is deeper, stranger, and more mysterious than our everyday perception suggests. So the next time you take a step, remember, hidden inside that simple motion is infinity. The infinite is not somewhere else. It is under your feet. It is in the air you breathe. It is in the smallest fraction of a moment. And maybe, just maybe, Zeno was inviting us to live with a little more awe, to see the infinite hiding in the ordinary, and to realize that every journey, no matter how simple, is a dance with eternity. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on another reality-bending journey.